Hey, it's Eric Decker, wide receiver, here with NYJF Jets TV.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our season kickoff edition of NYJFTV. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Sirkin. Joined on the set, as always, Fireman Ed, Rob Carpenter. Guys, I couldn't be any more fired up. We're just a couple days away from season kickoff right now. I cannot wait to get into MetLife. That crowd is going to be absolutely insane on Sunday. You know, everyone's going to be going nuts. It's going to be electric in there. There's just such a sense of optimism right now, I think, amongst the fan base. You got, McCagnon, another great offseason. Todd Bowles, a tough physical training camp. We got out of it relatively healthy. You got these veteran leaders at the top, young talent coming in. There's so much to be optimistic about with this season coming up.
No excuses, healthy, tremendously healthy, excited, second year in the regime, offense, defense, continuity, which Rob always talks about. I mean, that's going to be, I think, is going to be the difference in this season. If we can stay healthy, damage. We're going to do some damage. Win at home. 8-0. 8-0. First one. Let's get the first one.
First one is going to be big. For me, going to start the season with a win always leads to good things later in the season. Get this win at home against a good team, Cincinnati. What they did last year. They were, this close, playing in the, basically going to the Super Bowl. If that one injury hadn't happened to them, because Dalton was having a really, really, really good year. And if that injury didn't happen to him, that was potentially a Super Bowl team. So, but
they should have beaten Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and happenstance happened in that game, where they did lose to Pittsburgh. But getting a win to start the season like this against a team like this, with the schedule we have, first 8 games, is going to be huge. And I have a lot of confidence in the team right now to get this victory this week. Like Ed said, continuity going to this season is big, and it's big for Fitz and the offense, to progress from what they did from last season, and hopefully it starts Sunday.
And Rob, you mentioned continuity, and obviously a couple guys aren't here anymore. Pretty surprised at some of the moves McCagnon made. D. Milliner gone, Jason Morrow, Dexter McDougal, guys that were holdovers from the Idzik draft, no longer here, guys that couldn't stay healthy, couldn't stay on the field. Did any of these moves really surprise you at all?
No, not at all. I think when Mac took over and Bowles being the coach, I think for them, the guys that actually can be on the field and produce are the guys that they're going to keep. When you're constantly in and out of the lineup due to injury, and it specifically speaking about Jace right now, it just looked like he lost a lot of confidence, from just getting back, and you could see that he wasn't really comfortable. Once the games started, once you were on the field in practice, it seemed like he was lights out, but once the lights came on, it just seemed like he was not really comfortable in the system at all, and it showed. And from Bowles taking over, he basically said the best guys are going to be out there. So I'm not really surprised at all about the moves that were made, especially with some of the young guys, receivers. They showed that they can do the job, and that's why they're here.
I was impressed that they kept all three of the receivers. I mean, you got Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker to learn from. I mean, what more could you ask for as a wide receiver?
You know what? He has no allegiance to any of these guys. I mean, when you the perfect example is like Tommy Bohannon. I don't think anybody thought Tommy Bohannon was going out, and this kid Hausa, right?
Yep.
I mean, they got him in. He's converted linebacker. I mean, they got him, Bostic, the tight end. I thought Bostic had a good preseason. I did. I think he's a polished guy, man. I like him at tight end. They don't take any, it's just no allegiance, man. I love it. I love the fact that the best players You're playing, you're on a team. That's who's going to be on the team. Where in the past, you're a draft, you got drafted by the team, you have a contract that's guaranteed like Milner, a lot of times, and you hear the little whispers that, you're not going to cut them. And, this is all about the money, and you know that firsthand, Rob. And, that's not the case. So it's very refreshing, and, when there's something to be said for competition in that team, and they have to compete, and you got to earn your job. So that's huge.
I actually sent out a tweet a couple of days ago about specifically that. Bowles, McCagnon really have no allegiance to money. They really have no allegiance to guys that were here previously. Best guys are here. Best guys are going to play. And, that's the way that you actually build a team. And that's the way that
organization.
Guys actually feel comfortable about being on a team like that because they don't have to look over their shoulder worrying about if that guy makes more money than them, then that guy's going to play. If you are producing more than the next guy, you play. That's it. So that's kind of a refreshing thing to have. It lends its credence to me because that's actually one thing that happened with me when I was in Philadelphia. I signed in Philly, and Ray Rhodes, brand new head coach, John Gruden, brand new offensive coordinator. They sat me down in a meeting and said, listen, best guys are going to play. We don't care about the money, who makes more money, this, that, and third. They just said, best guys going to be here, going to play. And had me sold right there. I signed, and the rest was history. So, I had a great deal and a lot of fun that year. So, and everybody that was on the team that year had a lot of fun. So, it was just totally different when you have something like that on a team, and you see it around. The best teams are actually that way. So, there's no second guessing. Guys don't have hard feelings against other guys. If this guy outplayed you, that's it.
The fans don't see that. They
No.
don't.
A lot of
Most
times.
fans don't see that, and we're not privy to that. So, where you as a player and being in that locker room and seeing the everyday occurrences, that's the small things that fans don't see. So there's, I love that.
And I think that's exactly the way that you need to build a team if you want sustained success. You can't be keeping draft picks on the roster that can't even get on the field, waiting 2, 3, 4 years for them to come around. I was really high on D. Milner and Amaro. Both those guys, I thought if they could get on the field, they had something to offer, but we didn't see it. We saw it in practice, and that was it. Once it was game time, we didn't see anything from these guys.
That's why he goes with, he was so high on with all his scouts and how he just wiped out everybody, and he got all his guys in, and now you're starting to see it in the second year because you got these small-time guys that hit one of his scouts, wherever it is, whether the guy that does the Midwest or whatever, he sees one of these guys, he says, this guy's got something. And he goes with that. That's what he believes in. Amaro and Milner, they weren't his draft choices. I've said that with Gino. I mean, Gino, we're done with that. But whatever, he's the backup. But what I'm saying is that he doesn't have any. He goes by his system. He's going by all the guys, the scouting, and he's building the team on that. And forget about your reputation, this, that, money. That's not the way it goes. And it's refreshing, I think.
Totally refreshing, and I think the fans will enjoy this regime going forward.
So looking at the final roster and how it's been built, what are some of the matchups, looking ahead to Sunday, what are some of the matchups that you think are going to be important for this game? The two that stand out, I think, we were talking a little bit before the show, the Bengals defensive line, they got some big boys up there. Our offensive line has been a little shaky in preseason, and then, of course, you got their running backs. We have some injuries with our linebackers right now, Jordan Jenkins, David Harris, kind of up in the air. So what kind of matchups are you looking forward to seeing on Sunday?
It's funny to me because both teams have defensive front sevens that are really good, and it's going to be a test for the Jets offensive line, to deal with that front seven of Cincinnati. And then you flip it around. I think that the Jets defensive front seven is one of the best in the league. So it's going to be real pertinent that they actually get a lot of pressure up front. Put Dalton in situations that he doesn't want to be in, and force him to make the throws that he doesn't want to make. It gives those guys, the back four, opportunity to make some plays. I think also a big key is going to be defending Giovanni Bernard, because he's a guy who, let alone he can actually carry the ball, and very well. He's actually really good pass catcher coming out of the backfield, and that's going to be a big test for our linebackers. And we've seen in the past when teams have actually had guys who actually have running backs who actually can catch the ball out of the backfield, it's a problem. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest matchup I think going into this game that I'm looking forward to. I think the receivers and our DBs match up well with their receivers. I'm not really too concerned about that. It's just going to be that matchup with Gio and our linebackers.
I think both teams, the running game is going to be hard to run in this game. I think the Jets, how they're going to attack them, I believe, is you go with your best players. And I think this is when Marshall and Decker, this is when they step up. You're going to have the guys, and if they're holding them and they're going to double up on Marshall or they're going to key on those guys, this is where Forte and Bilal Powell and these kids, Quincy Enunwa, it could be huge in this game. I think that you're going to set the tone by attacking them with the passing game to set up the run, to set up those middle screens that they did so well last year. Screen game, I love Chan Gailey's screen game. I love it. And Forte is just another guy. See, Bilal Powell runs the screen game tremendous. And now you have Forte who does it as well as him. So you're not losing anything in that regard, I worry about the right side with Ijalana, and I always say the same thing, and Kovali. But I'll tell you one thing. If these guys can wind up holding their own, all of a sudden we're worried about the offensive line. If these guys hold their own, all of a sudden now we're going to be loaded. If these guys are good, now you got Brino coming back. Now we got something to talk about. So it'll be interesting to see, But I'm a little concerned about Cincinnati's offensive and defensive lines. There's a reason why they've been in the top in the AFC for the last 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it's all starts with the big boys up front. So, and I know they're hurting with all the guys on the outsides losing those guys. They only have AJ Green, and then you got the kid Boyd from Pittsburgh and LaFell. But I just think that we can take it to them. I think we have the talent to take it to them.
I agree. Our right side of our offensive line, it's going to be test. And I think in the passing game, just my feeling, I think they're going to keep one of the tight ends in to help out in the passing game. But that's just going to put a little more pressure on Marshall, Decker, Quincy, the young boys, Robbie and Jalen. But as you mentioned, the running backs can be huge. Screen game, if that front four is getting a lot of pressure, screen game is going to be huge. Let alone from that, Forte's in the game, he runs routes like a wide receiver. So, you have him in the passing game, not just for short routes. He can go down the field and catch the ball as well. So that's huge as well. So, that's going to be interesting to see on Sunday.
Quincy's going to be big, I think. Quincy's going to be big. He's healthy. He's back. He's good now. So
they're going to look at him. I saw so many reports about Quincy being a H-back and taking over the tight end position. That's a crock of stuff. But
with Amaro out now, do you think he's going to go back to that role that they used him in a lot last year? Or?
He's going to be in that role, but he's not going to be the guy who's in the tight end spot. Quincy is a guy who can do a lot. He can block. And he's a big boy. So they knew that he can actually handle that as far as the blocking game, and he knows he can handle that. But he's one of those guys that can do a lot more than just be a receiver. So, why not use him in that role? That way it puts pressure on the defense. When he's in the game, they don't know if he's actually going to be in that quote-unquote H-back position to be in the blocking game, in the running game, or, if he's actually in the slot, and if he's close, in a close-in slot position, he has a great advantage because he's going against a linebacker. There's no linebackers that can cover him in the passing game. So, and I think that's one thing that we're going to see a lot this year is Quincy, running routes down the seam, taking advantage of the fact that he can, just straight up just outrun linebackers. We saw it in one of the preseason games where, first preseason game where Fitz hit him down the seam a couple of times, and I think that's one of the things they were looking forward to happening going into the season. And I think we'll see that.
He likes that seam. Shane Gailey likes that seam route. He runs a lot of guys with that. I mean, he runs the running backs with it. I mean, he exposes the middle of the field on a consistent basis.
You have guys on the outside that can put pressure on the outside. It opens up the middle of the field. So if you got guys that are willing to run down the middle of the field to catch the ball, why not take advantage of it?
That's why Amaro's not on the team.
And that's why Quincy
can
do it.
Bingo.
A little soft.
There you go. Absolutely. So the one matchup that we haven't talked about, kind of viewed as the marquee matchup, Darrelle Revis, AJ Green. There's been some talk today that Revis could be used, on Tyler Boyd a little bit, or Brandon LaFell. He might not be exclusively on AJ Green, but to me, that's the kind of guy that Revis in the past has been able to shut down. It seems that he struggles more with the smaller, faster, shiftier receivers. So what do you expect from this matchup?
I think it's going to be one-on-one for most of the day. I don't think they're going to take him off of AJ Green. He's that guy, and he's proven. AJ Green is proven to be that guy. And you don't want to take a chance at just leaving him one-on-one with the young guy and exposing that to. You don't do that. So Darrelle is probably going to be on him pretty much all day. You take their chances with with Buster Screen. Burris on Boyd and LaFell. So, I don't think Tyler Eifert is going to be one of the guys that's actually playing this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's out. He's out.
So, that takes away another threat. So, Darrelle will probably be on AJ Green, if not 100% of the time. I'd say at least 95% of the game.
Don't you think it's a joke? It's just another thing for the papers to sell. What coach tells the game plan? They're going to say, Revis may not be on, it doesn't look like he's going to be on. What are you talking about? This is not Rex Ryan. I don't get it. When I was listening to it today, I was reading, I go, just another thing for them to talk about. Revis is going to come out, or any of them are going to come out and say, well, we're not going to have Revis on AJ Green all game. Come on, man. Are you going to tell what we're doing? It's a joke. Revis is going to be on AJ Green, okay? Put that in the books, okay? Manish and all he is, yeah.
The only way I can see that not happening is if Cincinnati comes in with some groupings where the Jets basically call their defense, they're set, and AJ Green moves. He goes in motion to the other side of the formation, and that way they just will roll the coverage, and you won't see Darrelle on AJ. But other than that, if it's a straight lineup and they're out there,
and they're going to mix it up occasionally because you want to keep them honest. You don't want them to think he's constantly a man-to-man, constant man-to-man. You want to trick him. There's going to be blitz packages where you think
Six years ago, Darrelle would have followed him all over the field, no matter what. But in this day and age, Darrelle is going to play what he does best. And for the most part, he's going to be on AJ 99% of the time.
Foles is going to be sending packages. His blitz packages are going to be insane. He's got the personnel now. They went out and got the personnel. He's got his guys now. So now he's got the hybrid. He's got the Buchanan from Arizona that's now Lee. He's got these guys that you don't know where they're coming from. Pryor could be coming. Screen could be coming. There's just so many different variables of what's going to go on with this team, and the stunts between all these defensive linemen that are all agile. They don't give McClendon enough recognition. That kid, he says he's not a nose tackle. There's a reason why he says he's not a nose tackle, because he's got a lot of speed, and he can do a lot more than just being bull rushing. Can he bull rush? Yes. But he can do a lot more, and you've seen that in the Giant game. Love Steve McClendon. Love what you did. Didn't get enough credit, Steve. Didn't get enough credit. Mo got in there before you, but you were all over the place. I watched the film, brother. I watched it. I seen what you did.
And how about Calvin Pryor answering your message last week?
My man, the Louisville Slugger. It was alligator arms for Odell. Odell, you didn't want any part of him. You didn't. I said it before. You got three munchkins there. Pryor that boy was lurking. He was lurking in the bushes, just waiting to pounce.
This is probably going to be, his breakout year. And
stay healthy, man.
You see he's real comfortable with everything that's going on with this defense, and that's a good thing when you actually see guys that are real comfortable. There's no second guessing. There's no thinking. Guys here to call and just go out and play.
That's what we said about the beginning of the game, right?
That's a wonderful thing.
Right? Second year, the consistency. It's all about that. It's all about
Williams
it.
In particular.
Oh.
No second
So
guessing.
exciting.
No wondering which gap he has to take. Anything. He hears a call.
exciting.
Just go out and play. Just let natural ability take over.
Just the defense has set the tone. Once again, and they usually do it. Especially defensive head coaches. that coin flip comes and we get the coin flip, you know he's bringing the defense out there. You know he's bringing the defense out there. He is bringing the defense out there. They're going to set the tone. Set the tone, chaos, pandemonium, have the fans crazy, 9/11. God bless. Listen, big day. Jet fans, this is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this. You come to the stadium, it's our house. Rock the house. You came to the house to rock the house? Rock the house.
Well said, man. And, along the same lines, cannot, absolutely not. Along the same lines, I think we always talk about, crowd noise being a factor and everything. And, you mentioned it before that we really want to have that home field advantage. And I think this week, more so than other weeks, it's going to be huge because I don't know about you guys, I don't feel that Andy Dalton can go 80, 90 yards down the field on our defense, especially if you've got 80,000 people going nuts. I don't think he has the weapons to do it.
That's a thing around the league. Defensive coaches say this, put a team back, let the crowd get into the game, and let them try to go 80 yards against us. The numbers will say it doesn't happen often. So that's a big thing, and me being a former player, when you're on the road and you're trying to concentrate when you've got 75, 80,000 fans, screaming, and it's that loud, you're not going to be able to hear it. If you're a receiver, you're not going to be able to hear the quarterback. That's just a given. So that is a huge advantage for the defense, and it's widely known, around the league that home field advantage when it comes to noise is a huge thing. And I will take our defense against any team in MetLife. When crowd noise is up, I take our defense against anyone.
This defense can be special. I mean, Rex had some good defenses, but I don't think he had the personnel that this defense has. I mean, this defense is faster than Rex had. I think Todd Bowles' schemes are as good as Rex's. And, I mean, the potential here is scary. I mean, once again, it all comes down, did they get nicked up? Did they get hurt that we don't know about? If these guys are playing relatively 100%, well, it's the first game. They should be for sure. You never know when they're nicked up. You know that. You play through injuries and everything, and it takes away from, but we never hear about that. This defense is, listen, I just hope it pans out and we're able to really enjoy this because this has the makings of something special, and we need the football gods to finally come down to MetLife Stadium and get the real team with the green on and bless them that we can finally have our moment in the sun. We want a moment, We want a moment. We're as great as fans as any fans in the NFL. I know that. I tell you all the time, they don't always wear their Jet stuff because they're hiding in the weeds. But they're there. They're just lurking. They're waiting. Football gods, give us a chance, will you? Please keep us healthy. Just once. Once. It's been 46 years.
One in my lifetime.
It's been 46. You're a young guy. I'll be 57 September 19th. I'm still waiting. Season tickets, 41 years. I'm still waiting. And I haven't wavered, despite what the haters think. I haven't wavered. I'd like you to be in a room with me. Then you'd see.
So on that note, I want to get your final predictions for the season. One, let's get a prediction for Sunday. Final score, final record for the season, and will the Jets make the playoffs? Rob, start it off.
Sunday, I think we pull out this victory, 27-14. I really, in my honest opinion, I really don't think it's going to be as hard as everybody's making it out to be. For one, I think because the defense is healthy, going to put a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton. I think the defensive front seven just has, that goal to just say, you're not going to be able to run on us. And, to try to throw on us is just, it's going to be hard as well. So, I just think this game is going to be one to start the season off right. 27-14 is my prediction. For the season itself, I I predicted 9 wins. 9-7 is going to be my prediction for the season. It's going to be tough to get into the playoffs, even with Brady down for the first 4 games. Winning the AFC East is probably going to be the one way to get in. It's going to be a little tough, but I think at the end of the season that might those 9 wins, possibly 10-6 again, that might do it.
Might? Yes or no?
It's going to be tough. I just don't think that 9 wins is going to get it, but I think 9-7 is going to be the season. I just don't think that's going to be enough to get into the playoffs.
I think the game Sunday is going to be closer than everyone would like. I think the difference in the game, I think the game will be like a 23-17 game. I say that Nick Falk is the difference. He'll have 3 field goals. I think Mike Nugent is a mess, and he'll wind up screwing it up. I don't like him. I think he's a weakness for the Cincinnati Bengals. I hope I'm right. I worry about the special teams with Adam Jones. So, I want to see us contain him. There's going to be a big day for Boyer and see what his special teams. I like what I see, but, we got to do it on the field. But I think it's going to be a little tighter game. I think the difference will be in the fourth quarter. I think the fan base will show up. I believe that the fan base will be the difference in the game. I see us winning the turnover battle. I think it's going to be a crazy crowd. I think that's going to have to do with it. I think Cincinnati's a very good team, and I don't underestimate them. I just think that they're coming into a bad spot. It's 9/11, and there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of emotion in that stadium. I know one for me for one for sure, and so that's what I think as far as the season. If we stay healthy, relatively healthy, I think we're going to win the AFC East. I think we're going to win the AFC East and I think it's probably going to take 11 wins to win it. Maybe 10, and we may be tied and we get a tiebreaker with that. But I think we're going to win the AFC East, and I think we're finally, since 2002, we're going to finally have a home game in our house. Our house. Let's go. Let's go.
I echo absolutely everything you said right there. I mean, I think we're going to be in the exact same situation that we were last year, final couple weeks where we're playing to get in. Whether or not we're playing for the division, I don't know. I think it's going to depend on how Brady does when he gets back. I don't think the Bills or the Dolphins are really going to be there at the end. I don't see anything from those two teams, but I think we're going to be in the playoffs. To me, the big thing is that week 16, week 17 against the Patriots in Buffalo. If we can win those games, I think that's going to decide the division right there. I think those 2 games, that's going to make the difference. So I'm right there with you, 11-5, Jets taking the division. On Sunday, I don't know. I have not a bad feeling about Sunday, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people would like. I think it's going to be one of those very ugly games, like 6-3 at the half. I don't expect the offense to produce all that much. I think the Bengals are really going to get after Fitzpatrick. My only hope is that we just don't turn the ball over. If we can not turn the ball over, pin them deep, like I said before, force them to go the whole length of the field to score on us, I think that'll be huge. If special teams can contribute with those added yards, I think that's where we're going to win this game. So, yep, have to.
Turnover battle and hidden yardage. Hidden yardage in this game is going to be huge. That comes into play with special teams. So, yeah, it is. And
if we could just keep it close towards the end, I think that's where you're going to see the crowd really step up, like you said, and take over this game. It's going to be a crazy environment. Like you said, a lot of emotions going to be going on in that stadium. So
I just think because of the emotion of 9/11 here in the stadium, for some reason I think there's going to be a lot of big plays on offense this week, and that's why I
hope
think
so.
the score
I hope you're right on
end
that.
up being like 27-14.
I hope you're right.
I just think there's going to be some big plays this week.
I'll sign right now for that, man. Awesome. All right, and on that note, Ed, Rob, thank you guys very much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, on Instagram at NYJFTV, and we'll see you next week when the Jets are 1-0.